It's not every day that you get a prolific quarterback like Dillion Gabriel enter the transfer portal, especially with only 1 year of eligibility remaining. So, what does the former Oklahoma Sooners quarterback do? Go to a team that he knows and an offense that he really has gravitated towards? Or take a swing at maybe going to a more premier program with a shot of making it to the college football playoff? Let's talk about it. If you are new here, welcome on into the channel. My name is Cole Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football daily. So if this is the type of content you enjoy, make sure you smash the subscribe button down below. Leave a comment telling me your thoughts on where you want to see Dillion Gabriel line up in 2024. Continue to tell everybody about this channel. Guys, we're on the race to 1,000, then 5,000, then 10,000, then 100,000, and we're going to get there. So why don't you jump on in while the water is fine? Make sure that you continue to subscribe to the channel and tell everybody about this. Also follow me on on Twitter at Mr. Cole Thompson. And as always, let's talk college football. Dillion Gabriel, from a proven commodity standpoint, is the most seasoned quarterback in the transfer portal. He has multiple years of starting experience in two different schools, at UCF and then at Oklahoma. This past year, he led the Sooners to a 10-2 record, really had some promising games, even was in the Heisman race at one point after winning against Texas in the Red River Showdown. But this is a guy who has 1 year of eligibility left. And basically, what he is doing is he is trying to put the finishing touches on his resume to where an NFL team will look and say, that kid's got something. That kid may not be a full-time starter, but he can make it in the NFL for a decade. I want him on my roster. I want to see what I can do with him. So you have two ways of thinking about this. The first is you go play at a school to where you know where your strengths are, where your weaknesses reside, and work with a coach who understands how to get the best out of you every single chance you get. And then you look at the other option where you go to a more prominent school, a school that's likely going to contend for a college football playoff spot. Your games are going to be at the highlight forefront of every single college football Saturday, and people are going to be paying attention to you. There's three schools that I think you can look at right now. The first one, very obvious one, it's Mississippi State. They lose Will Rogers to the transfer portal. They bring in Jeff Lebby. Guy led the Oklahoma offense to a number 3 spot in scoring last year. And he's worked with Gabriel for years. This is a guy who completely understands what Dillion Gabriel is about, where Dillion Gabriel thrives, where Dillion Gabriel prospers, and where he can kind of call him and pull him back and say, hey, don't do that again. Hey, make sure that this time you go to the left instead of the right. He needs a quarterback. And really, when you look at the future of the SEC, Mississippi State is a very weird job because every few years you watch them finish around 9-3, 10-2, but they're never usually a 5-7 team. This was a weird year for Mississippi State. They're usually about 8-4. Even when Mike Leach was there, they always were garnering somewhere at the bottom half of the top 25 college football polls. And when their defense is elite, they really are a team that you don't want to play on Saturdays. They're pesky, they're feisty, and the cowbells ring loud and proud because they are a very loud and proud fan base. If you want to set the tone very early on in your tenure as an SEC coach, you go get that veteran quarterback, really to kind of finite your status as a team on the come up. And I think Gabriel would thrive there. If you get the right receivers in the building, you learn how to continue to build up the offensive line. He's mobile. He's going to utilize his legs to an advantage, and he's going to keep drives moving in the right direction. And this is a quarterback that understands and doesn't really have to go through the motions of learning a new offensive concept. He gets it to a T. He's worked with Lebby his entire career. A guy fits exactly what is needed in Starkville. And a lot of people are pegging him to go there. Another team that I would look at, and this is not a wild card, but this is a team that I think would make a lot of sense, is USC. USC does have two young quarterbacks on its roster, but they are trying to set the tone in a brand new era of Trojan football. This is not you playing in the Pac-12 anymore, where you get weekend trips to Stanford, or you get weekend trips to Arizona or Arizona State, or you have to face off against Colorado. Now you're going up against the big boys. Now you're in the Big Ten. You got games against Ohio State. You got games against Michigan. You got games against Penn State and Iowa and countless defenses that know how to scheme quarterbacks into making mental mistakes every opportunity. And sometimes some of the best things that happen to you is having a veteran quarterback to truly set the dialect and the direction of a program. Lincoln Riley's not going to sit around after this past season and say, oh yeah, we're just going to trot out a freshman and say this is going to work. No, he's got to get the right quarterback in the building. And the offensive systems are somewhat similar. It's a little bit more passing in favor of rushing. But if you look back, they've actually been able to run the football extremely well during Lincoln Riley's time at Oklahoma and at USC. Last year they had Troy Dye, and Dye was phenomenal. He was a great find in the transfer portal. So you utilize the legs of Dillion Gabriel, get another good running back in the building, and they already have good receivers like Zachariah Branch on staff. He could end up being the reason why we're talking about USC finishing 10-2. And maybe with a more stable defensive formation, they end up winning close calls instead of losing them. And it's no longer shootouts. Instead, it's domination, it's physicality, it's games where you watch as the quarterback takes control. I would be very shocked if he at least isn't intrigued at going out to Los Angeles and playing for a guy like Lincoln Riley. The guy has ended up sending 4 quarterbacks to the NFL. 3 of them were either Heisman Trophy winners or finalists. Jalen Hurts, Baker Mayfield, Caleb Williams. You also have Kyler Murray. He's worked with quarterbacks. He knows how to get the best version of what a quarterback does. And he also knows how to get them prepared for the next level of the game. Now, here's the wild card of them all. Oregon. Oregon needs a quarterback. Oregon right now, they would go to Ty Thompson if Bo Nix was not playing in the Fiesta Bowl. If Bo Nix, when he leaves, they don't get a quarterback in the portal, they're going to go to a guy who's been in the system, but it also is an offensive system to where you say, what does my game mirror a lot of? There's a lot of similarities when you look at Bo Nix and when you look at Dillion Gabriel. They both utilize their legs. They both can extend plays outside the pocket. They both are phenomenal when it comes to deep ball accuracy. They've improved at almost every level since their first location to their second location. And the offense, I think, really does fit what you're looking for if you are Gabriel. Very nuanced, very seasoned, very much a ground and pound, can utilize the legs of a running back, can also throw to short to intermediate passes. You got young receivers on staff. They're going to be a hotbed destination when it comes to landing someone in the transfer portal at a pass catcher role to replace Tess Johnson, Troy Franklin. You could end up getting a really good roster in place to build around Dillion Gabriel. And if he thinks that this is the best location for him, where he can be one of the names to watch for next year in the Heisman Trophy race, a guy who can end up maybe leading the charge to a Big Ten title appearance, and maybe even a college football playoff berth, you take that risk. Dan Lanning needs a quarterback. They have the NIL funds to be able to afford a guy like Dillion Gabriel. And more importantly, it's an offense that I think will cater to his strengths and not break down his weaknesses. If I am Dillion Gabriel, I 100% am considering Oregon if they are in the running. But those would be my 3 teams to watch for right now for Gabriel's services. Number 1, Mississippi State. He already gets a relationship with Jeff Lebby over the last few years. Number 2, USC. You want to learn how to play quarterback at the NFL level. As much as we may say Lincoln Riley's a tad overrated, the dude knows what he's doing at quarterbacks. And last but not least, Oregon. They're a team that's going to need a quarterback next year if they want to contend for a college football playoff berth. And Gabriel might fit the bill just like Bo Nix did when he came over to Eugene a few seasons ago. Bottom line is that Gabriel is going to be a hot commodity on the transfer portal, and someone's getting a proven quarterback that's ready to win and win now. Thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.